Hey, I'm Matt Hutchins. He's Dave Mulvaney, and this is Profitability MD. How are you doing today, Dave?
I'm good, man. I didn't know where you were going there for a minute.
Sorry, I got lost. Sorry, Profitability MD. Sorry. We did a podcast last week, Exponential Growth. I was Abundance 360. So I thought we'd have a continuation of that. Episode 169, Profit Acceleration for Exponential Growth, how you can generate profitable acceleration for your version of exponential growth. And this is the type of stuff you and I do in our coaching, in our profit acceleration session, all that kind of stuff. But that was that guy's version of how he talks about exponential growth. So I thought we'd talk about our version of how we would do exponential growth for a company.
Yeah. I mean, the best way we're going to do this is we're going to go through graphically kind of what we do. So I'm just going to lay the groundwork. Yep. Let's say you're $750,000 business. You're doing $750 a year. You just can't break that $1 million mark. You got a few employees. Maybe you don't have any employees. Maybe you've outsourced everything. You're doing everything you can, but you're trying to break this $1 million mark. And so this is what a profit acceleration simulator, that's what we can help you do by showing you really 12 key areas of your business that you don't have to increase by a certain amount in each one. But when you do a little bit in each area, we're going to show you what can actually happen. So that's what we're going to show today is kind of how that goes. So you're the $750,000 business. You're trying to break that $1 million mark. So we'll start there.
Perfect. All right. So we've got a whole thing, a profit accelerator simulator that we can use. So you guys can use that and kind of play around with yourself. But what we've done here, so this is to discover the impact on how some small changes in 12 key areas could exponentially grow your business, right? So if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Profitability MD, go to Profitability MD on the YouTube and you'll be able to see the video of this because I've got the actual simulator pulled up, but we'll talk through it as well. So we just set up a fictitious company, $750,000 in revenue, gross profit margin, meaning at 80%, meaning how much of your cost of goods sold. And then your net profit margin after you had all your overhead is 40%. That's kind of a typical business you and I have dealt with, electricians type business. It could be dental practice. It can be several different types of business, but those are decent numbers. 750,000 in revenue, 80% gross profit margins. Those are kind of what we call your variable costs, right? The cost of goods sold, how much is your inventory, right? And then your net profit margin is after the variable cost and the fixed cost, the overhead, your rent and your staff and that type of stuff. Okay. So in this type scenario, this business right now, I'll go down to the bottom here, has a current revenue of $750,000. Current profits, $300,000. That's what 40% profit margins look like. If you're 750,000 revenue and you got 40% net profits, that means the owner's making $300,000, right? So we talk about making small impacts. Success is achieved through small and incremental changes in multiple areas of your business. And it's really kind of compounding upon itself. So should we go through let's go through the big picture. We can make small changes to get to the $1 million, right?
Big picture first. So the first thing is the problem that most people think is, man, I got to grow by like 30% just to get over $1 million. And that's actually false.
That's false.
What you have to do is these small incrementals. So Matt, let's just bump that up 3%. So what are you going to do? You're going to cut your costs. Let's just kind of go. We're just introducing. Yeah. Cut your cost by 3%. You create a market dominating position and increase your sales in that area by 3%. You create a compelling offer, like something that makes people want to buy from you. They more so than they do now. 3% change in that area. Increase your prices by 3%. Then offer something when they do buy, an upsell or a cross sell, bundling, downsell, so that the people who don't buy, that you give them something less expensive to buy into. Additional products and services could just be something as simple as an add-on product. Drip campaign, going after customers who maybe haven't purchased, but they're on your list and you're going to talk to them constantly. That's just marketing. Joint ventures and other alliances, getting more leads, attracting new clients through advertising and other things, and then digital marketing. So a 3% increase across the board. So what does that do to your profit and what does that do to your gross sales? So
So go down. So you can see the bottom of the part. So total profit impact. If you had a 3% change in each of those areas, that would generate an additional $248,000 in profit, 82% increase in profit. So then what would your company look like? This is what we're talking about. Your current revenue is $750,000. And we said you were making 300,000 by just having an incremental 3% in all 12 areas. You would generate additional 288,000 in new revenue, and you'd get your business above $1 million in revenue. It'd be $1,038,000 down here. That's kind of this little area over here. And now your new profit would be $548,000 a year. So by having just small 3% changes, you can take it from a 750 business to $1 million in revenue, and you can grow your profits by 82%, go from 300,000 to 550,000.
Yeah, and one of the things about cutting costs, I mean, that is the first one on here. One of the things about cutting costs, there's an old expression: you can't save your way to wealth.
Right.
Well, I don't recommend wasting money, but there are areas you can cut, and so that you can. These aren't in a specific order, by the way. So let's just say you got really good at a market dominating position and a compelling offer. These you can see the impact on it on like if you went to 5%.
Well, I was going to say, let's say, so 3%, oh my goodness, we could do anything for 3%, right? So let's just see what a 5% across those 12 areas, right? So if you made a 5% impact, cut your cost by 5%, and had a great marketing dominating position, and increase your sales by 5%. Now, a 5% increase across these 12 areas, it 1.5 times your profit. It adds an extra $456,000. So 5% increase in 12 areas takes your company from 750,000 in revenue to just about $1.3 million, and takes your profit from $300,000 to $756,000, 152% increase in profits. That's just by having a 5% change in 12 areas. Not big. Not a big deal. You could even, we were talking about off screen, you could, let's say you were really good at a joint venture, and it only lets me go up to 10%. We had a great joint venture partner, which brought in an extra 10% in revenue. So we could go through and say, we don't have to have 5% across the board. We could have 10% in a couple bigger markers, right? 10% because we have increase our prices by 10%, right? Inflation's running at 8%. Let's increase our pricing by 10%, right? You can mess around with this and see if we had a bigger impact. I've seen 20 to 50% increases in each category, right? I'm not going to do that as a simulation. And it might just be, it goes back to what that guy was saying that we had on the previous podcast. If you did 4 out of the 10, you have an exponential growing company. Same thing here. If you had 4 of these growing at 10%, you get the same type results. You don't have to do 3% across the board, 5% across the board. You might have 1 or 2, 3 or 4 of these that are big changes, 10%, 20%, 50% changes. So I think
also when you're, let's just say you're less than $1 million in business, really, if you're less than 5 million, a lot of times what happens in the day-to-day is you get stuck working on your business, not in your business. What this profit acceleration software does is it gives you a blueprint to say, look, these are the 12 areas like you and your team need to focus on. You could break this down, like, okay, everybody gets, you break this down. Let's say you got 4 employees. Okay. Right. 1 employee gets to work on 4 of them, each one working in different areas. And what you're trying to do is, I say you have 4 employees. You could be one of those employees, but you're going to break it down into 4 pieces. So each one of you has 3 of these areas, and you're going to work on cutting costs by 5%. You're going to work on a market dominating. That might mean you don't know how to do that. So let's say you got to hire somebody to help create a compelling offer in a market dominating position. Let's just say that person is going to charge you $15,000 to increase by 5%, but you can see it right there. You're going to bring in $61,000. It might cost you $15,000 to get there, but you might have to spend some money to get there, but you get there. You see, that's what having a blueprint does. When you know what a 5% increase in these specific areas means, then it kind of gives you a budget that says, hey, if I spend 25% of what my increase is going to be, See, most people make decisions in their business based on what the books look like today.
based off expenses, not based on
Yeah.
profit margins. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to finish that thought, so we were saying, look, you could go to this simulator and type in your own numbers. What's your own revenue, your own gross profit, and do your play around with it. What's your own? Hey, I think I could do a 5% increase across the board, a 3% increase. This will let you go up to 10% increase across the board. Good Lord, if we did a 10%, we'd increase your business by 400%, right? So
Your
I don't
net,
want to.
your net
Yeah.
profit by 400%.
Yeah. And so, but then I want to show you this thing generates the roadmap. This is kind of what we do for clients, right? So if we had a 5% increase across the board, I'll put that right there. You come down here and you could say, deep dive into your profits. Oh, by the way, there's another 40 different things we could go into. But at the bottom, we could go into, hey, click here to get your personalized 12-month roadmap. So I wanted to show everybody what a 12-month roadmap from this profit acceleration. Now we're just going to go over the 12 things, but a roadmap of, hey, how do we get there, right? So once you go through this profit acceleration simulator and you go through those 12 areas, you can go through all 40 if you want. You could get a customized, personalized roadmap. And so the idea was the roadmap is say, hey, look, this was a different example, but hey, look, there's $232,000 in profit that we can help you capture over these 12 areas. This is the purpose of this roadmap gives you an overview of the path that it takes to get there. Right. Yeah. And so in this roadmap, we actually come up with, here are the order of things to do it in. So the roadmap will tell you that those 12 different areas, in what order should we take them on? So in this case, it talks about cost cutting, then the market dominating position, then create a more compelling offer. So then you're like, gosh, what is that? So in your own roadmap, it comes down here and says, all right, cut costs. So step number 1, cut costs. We have a little video over here that talks about cutting the cost. In this example, cutting costs would increase your profit by $24,000. Watch this brief little video that talks about cutting costs, a deep dive into possible areas that you might cut costs, determine the best practices. How do we go about cutting costs? Determine your methodology, how you're going to implementing cutting costs, determine the cost cutting details. So establishing standard operating procedures. So this actually tells you, hey, step number 1 is cut costs. Here's a brief video and kind of how to do it, right? Then step number 2 would be, all right, let's create a good market dominating position. Here's another little video. Watch the market dominating position. Tells you what a market dominating position is. It's basically who you are and why people buy from you. Why should they buy from you from their competition? You want it to be a no-brainer, right? So deep dive into how to conduct competitive research, how to fill out your own market dominating position, determine areas how you can test it, because you want to test what a good market dominating position. Does this make sense for people, right? Reasonable expectations, some results, determine how we're going to implement our market dominating position. And then again, standard operating procedures to make sure that we're talking about. So a good market dominating position, we talked about this in the past. Domino's Pizza, it used to be guaranteed hot and fresh in 30 minutes or less, right? Don't do that anymore, but that was their market dominating position. You understood you want pizza hot and fresh and on time. Boom. There's a personal injury lawyer here in town. One call, that's all, right? One call, that's all. So we're going to solve your car wreck injury problem. One call, that's all.
Or you could better call Saul.
Better call Saul. That's a whole, it started again. I love it. So this roadmap goes through those 12 steps and helps you determine in what order you should, and describes what they are and how to tackle them. And in there it talks about, so you can put together your own operating plan. This is a roadmap for you to follow. Obviously, if you want help implementing, that's what Dave and I do in our group coaching program, is helping you identify and implementing this 12-step roadmap.
Yeah, and we start out with, this is when we talk about our free profit acceleration session. We go through this session with you. This is and then here's your roadmap. Okay.
Here's your roadmap.
You can do this on your own, or you can join our group mastermind, and we're going to help you implement your roadmap. And see, the whole thing is, what did it say up there? The quote, Winston Churchill, it's not, you're not trying to do something. I think it was down lower under the cutting costs. You're not trying to do something. Okay. You've got to succeed in doing what is necessary. That's what being a part of a mastermind does. It gives you a level of accountability, because now you've got a roadmap. There's no excuse not to do it. If you have the roadmap, then what is your excuse? Well, my excuse is what? I mean, I just didn't do it, right? I just didn't
Right.
implement it.
Right.
The question becomes, then we talked about this, about scaling your business. Then it comes back to the why. If your why is not strong enough, you're not going to go through the necessary steps to implement the things you need to do to become profitable. But look at, I mean, if you can increase your profit like by 150%, you do 5% across the board, equals 152% increase in your profit. That's, that's a massive amount of money in your pocket for making, to go from a $750,000 business to a $1.2 million, $1.3 million business. That little jump is going to allow you to put, it could be as much as $400,000 more in your pocket. Doesn't mean it's going to be, because sometimes as you grow, you're going to insert,
you got growing pains. Yeah.
Insert people into that equation to make that happen. So,
but that's the idea. The idea is how do you get exponential growth, right? We know what they are. Here's 12 steps to get exponential growth, right? And it doesn't have to be like you were saying earlier. It can be 3%, 5% increases. It can be big increases in 3 or 4 of the areas, right? And like we said, we have a whole 40 of them we're not going to go through, but just these top 12, if it might be 3 or 4 of them that you want to work on. You want to work on a market dominate. We always talk about you need a market dominated position, why people do business with you, right? And so it's a no-brainer. And you want a compelling offer, an irresistible offer. We've talked about that. It'd be like, it's the biggest no-brainer in the world. Try it before you buy it. It's money back guarantees. It's, if we can find anybody 50,000, 75, $100,000 without spending $1 more in advertising and marketing. Hey, that's what this is right here. That's what our profit acceleration session is. So it might just be 3 or 4, but the point being is if you want to grow your business, you're exactly right. You got to have your why. Why am I growing my business? I want to provide for my family. Why am I growing my business? Because I want to help 1,000 entrepreneurs. I want to help 1,000 dentists, right? Could be I want to make a bunch of money so I can give it to charity. I want to help make a bunch of money so I can help my church. Whatever your why is, you got to have the why. What do we say? You got to have the desire, and we've got the roadmap and the support group, right? Yeah. This is the roadmap. The group coaching is a support group, yeah. Right? That's how you exponentially grow your business. You got to have your commitment, your why.
The why, yep.
We've got the roadmap. Here it is. And we've got the support group, which is our mastermind group, right? That's the 3 key ingredients to get exponential growth out of any business: commitment, roadmap, support group.
And I'll let you. I mean, the first quarter of this year, I helped one of my clients implement some of these. We focused on the compelling offer. We probably focused on 5 areas of these.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his business is up over 75% over last year, the first quarter. And so, and his profitability is through the roof, like over 100% in the same period. So the point being is, when we do this profit acceleration session, we kind of look at 3 to 5% across the board. You don't want to over project, but you really can change some key areas, because when you have a working offer, so you come up with your compelling message, okay? Right. And then you create an offer around that message. When you start, we'll say advertising, because in this case we used ads. Right. When you start advertising that offer and tweaking it until you finally start getting where it's like, for every $1 you spend, you're bringing in $1.50 or $2. Now you've got this scalable thing. And so our ad spend went way up. But what actually happened is, for every $1 we spend, we're actually bringing in about $9 right now. Sure. So what do you think we're doing? If you're spending $1 and you're bringing in 9, how much would you spend? Everything you had, right? Because
right. Yeah, you've got a market dominating position, you've got a compelling offer, and you're using digital marketing, advertising in order to generate whatever you said, 75% increase in revenue and dramatic increase, over 100% increase.
Yeah, and that was as of last week. When I say that, we've had orders that have come in that have been pretty good size. The point being is, you've got 12 areas you can improve. I think too many people who are under $1 million in sales, really it's under 5 million, you'll find that they don't look outside of themselves to grow their business. Like they know what they're doing. Well, why do you and you and I both have coaches, actively have coaches? Why? We're coaches, but why do we have coaches? Because there are some people who can see things that we can't see from inside of our own. Like they say, you can't read the picture from inside the frame. You can't read the label from inside the jar. It's the same thing. You need somebody looking in with you, looking at your business with you, and knowing the areas of improvement, the most critical areas of improvement. These are the critical areas of improvement.
These are critical. And I wanted to give a couple examples, right? So cutting costs was a good one. And so I went through one of my customers recently, one of my clients, and it was, all right, let's look at your bank account and your credit card statement, right? Really, we were looking at the credit card statement, and we just went, let's look at last month's credit card bill. Let's look at last month's checking account, right? Business checking account. All right, let's go through line by line, each of these credit card bills and payments. Did it help you get or keep a customer? If not, get rid of it. Right. And so we had like 3 different markers, a green to keep and a blue was our yes, no, maybe. Green to keep, blue was let's talk about it further, and red was to get rid of it. Right. And so you go through and you say, does this help me get or keep get a new customer or keep an existing customer? If not, cut it. That's how we can cut costs. It sounds very dramatic, but everybody has those subscriptions and those things that are stuck on there, right? So I want to that's a great way to cut costs. It could be, we had I'm gonna stop here. We had an example with a dental practice. I work with a lot of dentists, and they just ordered the same inventory every month, whether they needed it or not, right? Nobody's doing anything malicious. They just didn't know that we had plenty of whatever, little toothbrushes we give away, little, the dental whatever the supplies are. It could be x-ray, camera. So anyway, doesn't matter what the supplies are. They just ordered the same thing every month. So then all of a sudden they've got different levels of supply and they have a gigantic amount of inventory, right? So it wasn't cutting costs, was just, hey, let's only order the stuff we really need, right? The other one I want to go through.
A good example on another, like in a different business, sometimes you're doing the same thing month after month after month, but you're not selling the same thing. So I'm going to use a veterinarian, for instance.
Yeah, there you go.
They were ordering heart medicine, the heartworm medicine, and cats. And what ended up happening is every year they were throwing away the expired product because they were never adjusting to make sure.
Oh, right.
2 things were happening. They weren't doing first in, first out.
Right.
So like you want to talk about cutting costs, you got to eliminate waste. So
yes, that's exactly right.
You sell. So when the new product comes in, you don't put it on the front of the shelf, you put it on the back. So you get rid of the older inventory first so that you don't end up with expiring inventory.
Exactly.
It's little things that you can cut costs.
Little things like that. Right.
And that matters.
That matters. We're not talking about being cheap or frugal. We're talking about, hey, just go through your line items credit card. Does it bring in a client or keep a client? If not, let's get rid of it. Or explain to me why we do need to keep it, right? The other increasing prices right now. We talked about inflation. There's inflation 7-8% numbers, right? If there was ever a time to increase your pricing that your clients would understand, now is the time. A 3% price increase, a 5% price increase, a 7 or 8% price increase.
The dollar store is no longer the dollar store. They're the $1.25 store.
There you go. That's a 25% price increase.
25% price increase and everything in there. I mean, I'm sorry. Yes, I do shop at the dollar store on occasion. Okay. Especially when it comes to greeting cards and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the best place to get them.
But that being said, they're 25% increase, but at the same time, their vendors are cutting the sizes of what they're supplying them. So really their prices are increasing more than that. So why? Because of inflation. This is the best time in an inflated market. Everybody understands everything costs more.
Right. And when you do price increase, that goes right to your bottom line. It goes right to your bottom line. We talked about this in one of our other podcasts about knowing your numbers, right? So price increase goes right to the bottom line. Cutting costs, for every dollar you save goes right to your pocket, right? Price increase goes right to your pocket, right? Those are 2 of the easy things that we're talking about doing right now, right? Cutting costs, going through, does it help or keep a client? If not, let's get rid of it. Increasing your prices. Now would be the time to increase your prices. These are simple little things, right? We talked about drip campaign. You talked about that when we were going through it before. That 3% of the people are going to buy your product today, but the other 80 to 90% are going to buy in the next year and a half. So we need a drip campaign to stay in front of those people, a newsletter, an email newsletter, a reason to buy, right? A monthly campaign to your past buyers, a drip campaign of staying in touch with people that have bought stuff before, or people that have expressed interest, right? Those, again, we're trying to show you the guy. This is the roadmap, right? You got to have the commitment. We got the roadmap. We got the support group. Easy to have exponential growth. Oh my goodness.
I had this conversation with an HVAC contractor about drip campaigns. For
Okay.
Now, average air conditioner is 12 to 15 years. That's how long they last. Okay. And I'm like, do you use a drip campaign to all of your previous customers? He's saying, no, but we're constantly advertising in the Mint and these other like publications. I'm like, he goes, and that brings them back in. I'm like, no, you already bought that customer.
Right.
Now, all you have to do is keep your name in front of them, maybe once a month, maybe twice a month, give them some tips on energy saving, different things, but always, always, always you're in front of them. What does that do? So 7 to 10 years from now, those people are going to come back to you. But what happens when after 5 or 6 years, when they start, they move into their next house, or 7 years, they move into the next house that needs a replacement. They remember you. So that is why a drip campaign can change your business. We're not talking about 3%. Every time you add a customer, they become part of the drip campaign. It costs you nothing to send electronic email.
A great example. We'll even go back to, I'll even add to that, like the upsell, right? So we've talked about that with HVAC contractors having the service agreement, right? So the service agreement is a little profit generator yourself, service agreement, whatever, it can range from $200 to $600 to $1,000 a year. And we'll come in and tune up your AC or tune up your HVAC or switch out the filters. That's a little bit of a profit center, but what you're really doing is so you're there top of mind when they need an upgrade. Yep. When they need a replacement. So when they need the basement HVAC redone. Oh, you're servicing. I bought this new one from you 3 years ago for the upstairs. Looks like the basement needs redoing. Well, because I'm the service contract, which was a profit center in and of itself, that was an upsell or a cross sell, right?
Yep.
I'm there for the maintenance and repair. Heck, I don't need a new unit, but could you see about adding some more coolant to it for the summertime? I'm already there, right? I'm the top of mind. So that's 3 examples right there. Cut costs, increasing your prices, talking about a drip campaign, talking about upselling or cross-selling like a service contract. So you're there for the repairs or for the next upgrade, or like you were saying, heck, these units last 12 to 15 years, but people move on average every 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to be with them when they go to the next house. And like you said, it doesn't cost you anything. That's why we need email lists, people. That's why you need a drip campaign. That's why you need a newsletter. That's why you need the email of every customer you've had or anybody who've ever expressed interest.
Yeah, and it's not about instant gratification. Drip campaigns are never about instant gratification. They're about creating a long-term presence. It's called marketing. Yeah. And marketing is everything you do before selling, meaning it takes care of all of the pre-selling. Robert Cialdini, however you pronounce it, calls it persuasion. You're persuading them before it's time to buy, that you're the right person to call. Why? Because you're in front of their eyes. That's it. You're paying for eyeballs. That's all advertisers ever do. And so when they've already spent money with you, it's always easier to get somebody to spend money with you again than it is to get a new customer. Of course, one of the things on the list is more leads, right? That costs far more to get more leads than it is to sell to an existing customer.
Absolutely. That's great. So this was episode 169, profit acceleration for exponential growth, right? Yep. Exponential growth for your company for your business is easier than you think. It can be 3%, 5% increases across 12 different areas. It might be a larger increase in 3 or 4 of them. You were just talking about you're doing 3 or 4 of these for one of your clients, and we had 75% growth in revenue and tremendous growth in profits, right? So this is what we call our profit acceleration simulator, our profit acceleration session, right? And so when we go through the 12 areas and how we can find any business owner $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 without spending $1 more in advertising and marketing. This is what we just showed you, the profit acceleration simulator. You can do it yourself by going to the simulator yourself. Go online and mess around with our simulator. We give you a roadmap. a roadmap. What do we need to have exponential growth? You need your commitment, your why. That's number one. You need a roadmap. That's what the profit acceleration session is. It's a roadmap. Here's the 12 steps in order to do them. And you need a support group. And that's what our group coaching is. That's what we do at Profitability MD, our mastermind group, right? Matt at profitabilitymd.com, Dave at profitabilitymd.com. Commitment, roadmap, support group. We got 2 out of the 3. We just need your commitment. Right. So check us out, profitabilitymd.com. That's our website. This is a YouTube channel as well, Profitability MD. So you can see the video here where we actually pulled up the profit acceleration simulator that you can go check it out yourself. We do profit acceleration sessions. So we'll do a little Zoom call, go through the 12 steps, identify your hidden profit and give you your own roadmap. Right. And then if you want help implementing that, that's where you would join our mastermind group, right? How do you be successful? How do you have exponential growth? You need commitment, you need a roadmap, and you need a support group. Dave and I got 2 out of the 3. We just need your commitment to do it. All right, this is great. I love this exponential growth profit acceleration. This is good stuff. It's easier than you think. We know the 12 areas. Actually, we got 42 areas to go into. We know the areas to look into to create exponential growth for your business. We really do. That's what we do. That's what we have a passion to do it. We love it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right. Thanks, Matt. We'll see
All
you
right, buddy.
soon.
See you.
Take care. Bye.